now we're going. So, hello everybody. My name is Keith Gordon. I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about a lot of different things, mainly U.S. real estate investing. I want to thank Kelly and Anthony for inviting me out here. Right off the hop, I'd like to say that I'm not your normal presenter. I don't really have a set bunch of slides or a standard presentation or anything like that, so feel free to ask questions at any point in time. In fact, here, I'm going to do this so I can better see questions in the back of the room. In any case, so who am I? Well, Keith is a pretty interesting guy, but just like everybody else here, everybody's unique in their own way. I enjoy playing soccer. A couple of my friends that I play soccer with in Burlington are actually here. So there's me in my soccer stuff. This is me doing CrossFit, which is one of those crazy exercise things. That was Halloween. That wasn't a regular night out. At one of my best friend's weddings, and of course climbing some rocks in the States, oddly enough. So that's my tie into the U.S. That picture was taken in the States. But also we want to talk about sort of like what's the career path that I was on to get to being a full-time real estate investor. Well, first off, I'm from Winnipeg originally. I moved out here. Originally I went to London, so just down the road, in 1991-92 to do my audio engineering degree. And I was actually just at my alma mater of 20 years ago, fitting earplugs to the current generation of audio engineers so that they would be able to protect their hearing. Went back to Winnipeg, worked as a sound tech full-time, worked for the Manitoba legislature, recording the premier and the rest of the politicians. And eventually, after a lot of years doing that, I got bored and I thought I would look for the next challenge. The next challenge turned out to be doing my MBA. So I came back out to Ontario and I went to Toronto. I went to the Schulich School of Business and I did my MBA. And that led me to work in this area. I lived in Burlington and I worked with Matthew and I worked with Charles at a company called Genum in Burlington. And I later moved to Hamilton, up on just off the link there, and it was also then I moved back to Oakville after I was done working at Genum. So I've spent a lot of time in this neck of the woods. I know a lot of the areas around here. I've played soccer against people from Paris and Brantford, and played soccer in Soccer World in Hamilton all the time. So I know this neck of the woods. And now, how did I get into the real estate side of things? Well, the real estate, just down the road here, talking about Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad education and that. Well, back in, I guess it's got to be about 5 years ago now, I heard the radio ad for the free evening come and hear about Robert Kiyosaki and real estate investing. And that was at the Sheraton Hotel in Hamilton there. And so I went down there and I did 3 hours and I sat in a room not dissimilar from this one, and I sat there. I've done a bunch of different things in my life, and I'd even read, Wealthy Barber and Rich Dad Poor Dad. But in that room that night, the light bulb went off. I'm like, it makes so much sense. Why did somebody tell me this like 20 years ago? Crap, right? So I signed up, and I signed up to do the Rich Dad Tiger, the beginning intro one that was like 3 days long. And I paid for it myself, and I called up my best friend, oddly enough, the guy who I'm staying with in Cambridge tonight. Called him up, and he came along with me, and he was, my best friend in the whole world, known him since high school, but he was closed-minded. He was like, nope, this is all a scam. And he was convinced it was a scam because he went on the internet, and he did a bunch of research, and it must be true then. So for him, there was just no winning him over. He had pre-decided that it wasn't right for him. So that was fine, and I met a nice lady there whose husband was of the same opinion as my best friend. So the two of us were like, well, both of us have nobody else to do it. Let's sign up, and we took our whack of Rich Dad Tigrant courses, and we did them together. Now, unfortunately, though, she was with a husband that didn't want to do real estate, so she never really got over that threshold, and I had like a best friend that was closed-minded, didn't know how to do real estate, and I'm not married, and I didn't have a sibling that was, you know, my only sister's back in Winnipeg, and, you know, married and school teacher and kids, and she's not gonna do real estate, and my father had passed away, and, you know, my mother's very much not into doing real estate, so I had like no one to do it with. So I'm like, well, around this time the US was melting down, I should really learn about US real estate. So I went and I took a bunch of courses through Robert Allen, who was actually a Canadian from Montreal, but he was big in the US, and he is EWI, Enlightened Wealth Institute. So I signed up, I took my tax return, and I went and I signed up for a mentorship, you know, in Las Vegas, and I did a full year of like all across the US, going to all these different real estate courses. And I thought, you know, I'm not scared to get started in real estate, I just need more education. Yeah, I think somebody was in denial there a lot. So then after a full year of doing all this stuff in the States, taking all these classes, making a lot of great friends, great experience, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with education. I think education is, you know, it's the silver bullet. But I was still in denial. I just thought, you know, I'm a book smart guy, right? I've got, you know, undergraduate degree in Winnipeg, engineering degree, MBA. It's like I'll just get a real estate degree now. It's like on to degree number 4. It's crazy. And I even go back to my MBA school, and I went back to Schulich, and turned out that, like, I didn't know at the time, but we had a bunch of like property courses in real estate development. A lot of the real estate developers have done their business degrees there. So I take some courses with Schulich. I go see Steve Martell. I go see Fortune Builders, Stan Merrill. I was like, I'm taking all these courses, and I haven't bought any property. I haven't actually taken any action. So, you know, so the key for me, it turned out, you know, was I needed to have a partner. I needed to have somebody to do it with, somebody to hold me accountable. In this case, the biggest one was my friend Al. Now, my friend Al, I'm a sound tech. I've mixed a lot of bands. Al and I did a lot of gigs together. He was a guitar player and a keyboard player and a singer, and I would go see him when I was like barely old enough to be in the clubs, and then we did a house gig together, you know, 5 years, night in, night out, 6 nights a week. Al and myself, you know, I'm mixing him, he's up on stage, and he'd talk to us. He'd talk to the other guys in the band. Hey, it's Saturday night. Who wants to come collect rent with me? What do you mean? It's 2 in the morning, and why do you have that baseball bat? And he goes, yeah, I'm going down to the rough parts of town. You know, the checks just came out today, and if I don't get them, people will drink the money away by Monday morning. So it's like, oh, okay, that's what you mean by collecting rent. Okay, you're dealing with some of the rougher elements in town. But in any case, Al's been doing this since he was a teenager. He started out buying $1,000 houses in downtown Winnipeg, in the worst parts of town. And he knew I wanted to get in this, and I talked to him every time I was back in Winnipeg. So even when I was living in Toronto, I'd go home for Christmas, I'd go home in summer vacation, and I'd see Al, we'd do a gig together, I'd talk to him about real estate. So finally, I'm out there, you know, we're at a Bomber game, and he's like, Keith, got offered this deal. He goes, but I'm taking the wife and kids, and we're about to leave on a round the world vacation. We're taking the kids out of school for a year. We're going to Australia, New Zealand, we're going to Thailand and Philippines and Asia, and then we're going to end up in Europe, but we're going to be gone. And he goes, but this guy offered me this deal. There's 4 properties that are being foreclosed on, and I was offered like the underlying note, but now we're just going to end up with the properties. I'll do the deal if you come and partner with me on it. Otherwise, I'm just going to let it go, and we'll just go and we'll live off the revenue from my hundreds of other rental properties. I'm like, well, what's this going to cost me? He goes, well, probably legal fees would be about 10 grand. I look and I go, well, I've spent, you know, where I spent, let's see, I spent $36,000 there, spent $20,000 there, this other stuff. It's like, you know, and he's offering me a chance to buy 40 doors, 4 buildings, 40 doors for 10 grand. Yeah, I'm in. So that was sort of, and my friends Matthew and Charles know this, I was going to move back to Winnipeg, but suddenly I had to move in a bit of a rush. And it was because he was leaving on Halloween, and somebody had to take over running these places that we were pretty much going to assume ownership on October 15th. He was leaving October 30th. So suddenly, I went from 0 to 41 doors, in the blink of an eye, and I had about 2 weeks to learn how to do it before my friend left the country. And it's not like he's going to be on his phone, right? It's like this is someone that I can email. We also like to tell stories about things that go wrong. Well, having your trusted group of our team. So at the time, Al had a handyman who'd been working for him for 13 years. This guy was like really good. These were all kind of rougher neighborhood properties. These were mainly rooming houses or apartments that were like in rougher parts of town, but the cash flowed great. The thing was that I didn't know anything about this. I mean, I had taken property management courses. I hadn't done it. I hadn't dealt with these people, and I certainly can't swing a hammer to save my life. I'm not the guy you want fixing the toilet. I'm not the guy you want fixing the electrical system. So this handyman, he's going to be my right-hand man, so to speak. He's going to be the one responsible for dealing with like a lot of the stuff that I don't know, and it's like I'll be responsible. I'm good with the money and the accounting